Strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If you're lying, then you must be half stepping. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J back once again for a live show. Be down with us tonight if you want to hear us and talk to us and be down with us. Call us 804-402-2893. 804-402-2893. Be down with Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J on Legacy Internet Radio. Independence is key to building your own legacy, and Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J is live on Legacy Internet Radio. We're definitely glad to be here. We're glad to have you listening to us. We see you out there on MixLR and LegacyInternetRadio.com. We appreciate everybody who's listening to us tonight. Thank you so much for being down. Of course, every week we got a live show. Tonight is no different. We getting into a lot of stuff tonight, y'all. We getting into the National Basketball Association. We got the return of your man Kdub, first time joining us on Legacy Internet Radio, so we're pleased to have him, and we're looking forward to bringing him in momentarily. We also got a very interesting segment tonight. MTV has come with their top 10 of hip-hop lyricists today. Their list is for today, which sparked us and made us wonder, who is the top 10 lyricists of all time? So we're going to get into that because we want to know what the listeners of Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J think, and we definitely want to know what the crew think. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J on LegacyInternetRadio.com and MixLR. And then we're going to ask what the hell. I got a bunch of stuff that we're going to get into and what the hell. Of course, we got a missing and or exploited child that we're going to get into as well. So we got a live show. We got a lot to get into, and I'm definitely glad to get into it with the homies. Of course, starting with my main man on my right, I got Carlton Banks in the building. What's going on, brother?
Chilling, having a good old time. Had a great weekend and everything.
You had a good weekend, man. How was the weekend?
Weekend was fun, man. Neighbors had a little drink, and we ate and let the kids go outside the next day and play, and I got bamboozled again.
Bamboozled?
Yeah.
What you mean?
I'm coaching soccer again this season.
That's not a bad thing. You like that, though.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun. But the way they got me this year, last year they were like, your son doesn't have a coach. Okay. This year they're like, well, there was a girl whose mother who wanted you specifically. I was like, oh, man, now you got the little kids' moms and parents looking for me, too.
Oh, they got you.
They got me.
Well, I'm glad that you are doing it. I'm sure Lil Banks is glad that you're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you get an opportunity to hang out with him. That's extra time. And then, you giving back to the community. So look at it like that.
Oh, yeah. It's fun. Well, but, see, I can't fuss as the other kids like I can fuss at him. So, that's
why the hell not?
I try to take it easy on him. I get after him.
I'm going to bring in Kdub shortly.
Okay.
And I'll ask him what it's like to have a coach get into it with you. We're going to ask him that very question. We're going to move around the room. We're going to get through our greetings pretty quickly, and then we're going to get into some stuff. Big Rope.
Yo.
Big Rope.
Yo.
What's up, man?
No, man, just chilling.
It's Caption swallowed my phone. That's what's up.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You know how it is.
It's good to see you, man. You seem a little bit, kind of laid back over there. What's up with that, man?
I mean, I can't chill. What's wrong with me chilling?
I guess you can chill here in the den of Legacy Internet Radio. I guess you can chill. We in the den tonight, Big Road.
That's how we get down.
Well, I'm glad to see you. How was the weekend, man?
I did a whole bunch of nothing except work on the site and stuff, as people could probably see.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just chill in.
If you're looking at the Legacy Internet Radio website, you owe a grand debt of thanks to Big Rube. LegacyInternetRadio.com is wholly owned and produced by the crew of Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. And Big Rube, of course, is the webmaster. So I'm definitely glad to have him. Glad that he's taking the time to do that. And it's good. It's good that he's done it. And I'm happy for it as I move around the room and check in with the whole crew. Of course, joining us on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. We're always glad to have Jay Grizzy Green in the room. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's good, my brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Of course, always a pleasure to join you fellas here. Ain't No Half Steppin'. Legacy Internet Radio from the ground on up. Lot to talk about. I was excited. I plugged it on my spots on my social media. So, I'm interested to know what the listeners out there thinking. Please hit up his fan page. Please call us in. All that good stuff.
Hit us up on our Facebook page, on our fan page on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on the MixLR page. We got all kinds of pages. You can also reach us.
No excuse.
No. And the website has been updated from last week. So if you hit us on the Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J page on Legacy Internet Radio, it'll link you directly to our Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J page on Facebook, where you can send us all kinds of notes. You can be a part of the show that way. It'll also direct you to our Twitter feed. And of course, if you're listening to us on MixLR, you can definitely be seen there. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Let's brand it right now. Call it Legacy Interactive.
Legacy Interactive. There you go. There you go. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J is coming to you live in the den of Legacy Internet Radio. So we appreciate it. Call us up. Be down with the discussion at 804-402-2893. And as we move around the room, we're going to move to the live line to your main man who hasn't been with us since we moved from that radio site that we used to be on. Now we're on Legacy Internet Radio, and it's a pleasure and definitely a privilege to introduce my brother, Kdub, on the live line. What's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on? Legacy.
Yeah, he got a spoon and everything.
Have a new home, I should say.
Yes, man. I'm glad to have you, man, and I'm glad to have your enthusiasm with us on Legacy Internet Radio. It's good to hear from you, man, and I'm glad to be able to kind of have that conversation that you and I always have on the side. We can have it publicly for the listeners of Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J on LegacyInternetRadio.com. Here in the den, they can get a chance to kind of kick it with Kdub, Marcus J, Jay Grizzy, Big Room, Carlton Banks. So Kdub, let's do this. Let's go around the National Basketball Association and kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that you and I had kind of got into. You sent me your list of things that you want to get into, and we'll get into those momentarily. But the first thing, and I didn't give you this on purpose, but I was listening to another show on the Four Letter Network this afternoon as I was driving into the studio, and they had a very interesting conversation about the worst contracts that they had ever seen on their teams. And as a Knicks fan, I can certainly appreciate some terrible contracts. So I won't put you on the spot by making you go first. I'm going to go first on what I think are the worst contracts that I've ever seen for the New York Knicks. You can either concur or you can kind of go in a different direction. We're going to get Jay Grizzy, who's also a Knicks fan. Big Rule, I'm sure he's going to have an opinion on the worst contracts that he's ever seen in Lakerland. But I'm going to go first. Number one worst contract that I've ever seen for the New York Knicks is Jerome James. Jerome James is the worst contract that I've ever seen in the history of the New York Knicks, and here's why. This dude played, I think the percentage that they gave was like 21% of his 5-year contract with the Knicks. 21% of the eligible games. 5 years. Right. He played in 21% of those games for the New York Knicks. 5 years, 30 mil, Jerome James. My next worst contract,
Trinidad Jerome.
Yeah, it's terrible. My next worst contract was Eddie Curry. Eddie Curry was great for 1 year. 1 year, Eddie Curry was great. Almost made the All-Star team. I remember being pissed that he didn't. But then he became a Jerome James clone because he stayed hurt. And I know when you get hurt, you can't really do anything about getting hurt. But when we pay you that kind of money, and as a fan, because that's what I am, I'm not a general manager. I don't care about none of that kind of stuff. I want to see you playing. And then I'm going to get some heat for this one, but I don't care because I'm the host. But Amari Stoudemire is number 3 for me in the worst contracts in the history of this. And here's why. Amari Stoudemire right now is in his 3rd year as with the Knicks, and in the first year he had a great half a year, and in his entire time with the Knicks he had a great half a year. We got the news last week that he's out for the season, and he's become injury prone. He came here with a bad eye. He came here with bad knees. He got a bad back once he got here. He broke a fire hydrant or extinguisher, whatever it was, with his hand, which was a freak accident. But now we got 2 more years of this dude, and we don't know what the hell we gonna get. All right, so I'm gonna give you the floor, Dub. Am I tripping? Or what? Worst contracts in Knick history.
Well, one of them, I would definitely disagree with. I would disagree with the Amari Stoudemire contract. I don't think that that's a bad contract. But in regards to Jerome James, I'm probably about a good 80% on the Eddie Curry part of it. And there's a couple of other people that we could talk about. We could talk about John Koncak, who was one of the first bad contracts that were given out years ago by the Atlanta Hawks. But here's why I'm going to disagree with you in regards to Amari Stoudemire, is that and again, I'm coming at this from the athlete perspective. One, there isn't a lot of the injuries that he had. I'm not even going to say a lot of them. All of the injuries except for the one when he bashed his hand against the fire extinguisher is, these are things that you cannot control. And these are injuries that pretty much the Knicks knew that he had in regards, well, I won't even include the eye injury because the eye injury, he had the surgery, he had the goggles, you don't hear anything about that. But in regards to his knee, the Knicks pretty much knew that he did have, some, not the greatest of knees. It is disappointing that he has had these procedures, these setbacks or whatever like that. But can you really blame him for these particular setbacks? And I look at it from another perspective as well. And on the previous station that we had former NBA player Rashawn McLeod here. And here's the thing that I remember we all discussed: if they're going to pay you X amount of dollars, why wouldn't you take that? If you're a radio host and I came to you and I said that, listen, bro, I want you to do a show once a week and I'm going to pay you $1 million for 1 year, you probably think that it might be a little bit higher than what your price tag is.
All right, let me stop you there. Nobody's debating taking the money. But at the end of the day, once the contract is signed, how it ends up playing itself out is where you kind of play Monday morning contract. Big Rule, what's your thoughts on that?
Really? Dub, how many games has Amari Stoudemire played in a Knicks uniform? Maybe 100.
He's played a good amount, but again, I'm trying to figure out where is the, who do we have the issue with? Do we have the issue with the team giving them the money, or do we have an issue with Stoudemire?
Well, you're gonna have an issue with the team giving the money, obviously, because if somebody gave me $20-some million, I'm gonna take it too regardless. But the fact is, you paid a whole bunch of money for damaged goods that you knew were damaged. And my thing is, it's not worth the writing on the contract for what y'all pay for this dude. And he has proven that y'all bought damaged goods. And, I'm not saying this contract is worse than the Jerome James contract, but I'm saying for what you expected, y'all not getting y'all money's worth.
That's fair. That's fair. You could also, if you really want to be devil's advocate, you could also say Allen Houston. Yeah, Allen Houston wasn't even able to run out. He wasn't even able to play out his contract.
The only difference that I'll say with Allen Houston, and the jury's out on Amari whether he's going to be able to play out his contract because he got 2 more years to go. He'll be 32, 33 when it's over. Who knows where he's going to end up going? Well, they can't amnesty him because they amnesty Chauncey Billups to get Tyson Chandler. So that's out.
Are you kidding me?
You can't because of the new CBA. You can't amnesty. Grizz, what's your thoughts on it, man?
Well, since we as Knicks fans in here, Kdub and myself, we're going to talk about the Knicks. But I want to go back to an era were the last great era of centers, since we're talking about bad contracts, and y'all can kind of get a clue of where I'm going with this. Olajuwon, and the reason I make this point is a lot of players in the NBA or any sport for that matter gets contracts based on how great their peers are. So if you come out of college and you're halfway decent, because your peers in that position is getting X amount of dollars, you're going to get X amount of dollars. So I throw out Olajuwon, Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, of course, Patrick Ewing. In 8 years, $44 million for the 7'6" string being out of BYU, Sean Bradley. The Philadelphia 76ers literally paid that guy $44 million, and what did he do but get dunked on left and right? Anybody disagree with me about that? That's a bad contract.
That's a contract based off of potential. That's not a contract based on
still a bad contract. What has he done in the NBA?
It's based off of potential. That's just like have Ruben felt about.
And that was after Dallas had him.
Was that Odin that?
I was going to mention Greg Hayes. You know Greg Hayes was coming.
But again, that's just he's based off of potential, not performance.
But you
that's not a bad contract.
With Greg Oden, my issue is not with the first contract. It was an issue with they gave this dude another $8 million. For what? For what? So you can cut him later and still end up paying this dude $8 million to feel better about themselves?
Potential. Okay.
Man, potential. $8 million.
I mean, ultimately, again, the whole essence of this point in the conversation is the whole Monday morning quarterback thing. You don't think when you sign it, I don't think Isaiah Thomas, when he signed Jerome James coming off of that great playoff series that he had for Seattle, I believe he was, that he thought that it was. Yeah, I don't think anybody. Yeah, Doug. I don't think anybody thought that it was a bad contract when it was signed. The whole essence of the conversation is on the back end of it. Are you living up to the conversation? I want to take a quick moment and give a shout out to a listener here on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J on Legacy Internet Radio. S.Y. Butner's listening to us. She's saying, "Get down, y'all." Always listening, and she is a fan of the show, and she's listening to us right now. We appreciate the support. Kdub, let's do this. Let's go around the league and kind of talk about a couple of things. Since we started off with the bad contracts, I made my piece on Amari Stoudemire. I stand by it, but we can move on from that. Amari Stoudemire has just gotten the knee debridement surgery he's about to, on his left knee, and he's out for the season with the Knicks. He may come back, assuming the Knicks make the playoffs, which they will, but who knows how much of the playoffs he's going to be available. What's your thoughts on the state of the Knicks? And let's kind of round table that. We got two Knicks fans in the room. We got at least one Knick hater, probably two. Let's see if we can get some Knick chat in here before we go to the left coast.
I think that personally, on the personal aspect of it, man, it's kind of sad because you have he's pretty much young. I mean, he's younger than all of us that show or what have you, and you've had these different injuries that he's had to his knee. I know that it may be those are on the lines of maybe even a depression or whatever. But what I will give him credit is that no matter what injury that he has had, he has worked hard to try to get back. And there's one thing that we can all sit here and criticize Amari Stoudemire, but he has heart. He could have cashed in the chips a long time ago. I know it's real. As a Knicks fan, it's kind of sad, and I want to be optimistic about it. Hopefully, what they're saying is that when he comes back, it will possibly be either the week before or around the end of the season, where he will be able to help the Knicks in the playoffs. One good thing I can say that will come is that due to Amari Stoudemire not being there, Kenyon Martin, who was just signed his second 10-day contract, he can come in and fill a void for the Knicks. Yes, it may not be on the offensive end of it, but anybody that watches the Knicks know that we are definitely in favor of him coming and being a presence on the defensive end.
Well, let me stop you there, though, because I got my own opinions about that. But Big Rube has got the look on his face like he think you talking some old bull. Big Rube, what's your thoughts, man, on what Kdub just said?
Hey, Kdub, are we just being fancy or are we being real? Kenyon Martin, dog?
I'm being real.
Kenyon Martin.
Wait. Did you see that crossbody check?
Man, who did they play the Jazz, man, who are terrible?
No, not even
do that against somebody else.
What you got to understand is this is a microcosm of what it is. Right. If you watch the game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, what he gave is exactly what New York needs.
I think what Ruben is saying coming from the perspective of someone who doesn't always watch the Knicks games, they're thinking about Kenyon Martin being 35 years old and being out the league 9 months and that sort of thing, and wondering how much he has, and wondering how much he has left in the tank. Of course, he's the first number 1 overall pick to be signed to a 10-day contract, so you wonder what you getting. But when I think about what the New York Knicks need, and I think about what Kenyon Martin brings, I'll be honest with you, and I might take some heat from this, but I don't give a damn. I think the Knicks are better off with Kenyon Martin right now than they are with Amari Stoudemire, and here's why. I think that while you get 22 and a few rebounds from Amari Stoudemire, while he scores on one end and celebrates, he gonna get beat down the other end, and somebody gonna dunk on him. Whereas Kenyon Martin, if you watch the games, and you can say, oh, it was the Jazz, or you can say, oh, it was Oklahoma City, which I think you're a crazy person if you say, Oklahoma City. He, on that one play on Kevin Durant, when he put him on his ass, he showed in that one play why he got signed by the New York Knicks. And they almost called him for a flagrant until the replay showed that it was a clean block. And you can argue whether it was a foul at all. That's what Kenyon Martin brings. And if you watch the game against Utah, he scored all his points, all of them, for offensive rebounds or dunks or in the paint.
Know what he got to say.
Well, Rue, I want to know what he thinks as well.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I like
being that your people's is 33 and
hold on, we're not talking about my people's yet.
Yeah, we gonna come to the
I like to say I'm glad that I feel like I can say I told you so, because last year I was saying Amari Stoudemire was terrible. I mean, but nobody was listening to me. Nobody was listening to me.
We talking about last year.
But this year I was saying y'all play better without Amari.
Yeah, but you also, along with all the other haters, was talking about how Amari and Carmelo can't play together, which I think is dumb.
I never said that.
Yeah, I think that's dumb as hell. Anybody who has that argument, because if you look at
the stats, that was never my argument.
Okay, well, if you look at the stats, you'll see that most of the assists that Carmelo has, they come off of
pick and roll with Amari.
They come off of pick and roll with Amari,
and that's great and all. But my argument was the dude don't play no defense.
Well, okay, the dude don't play no defense, but you also the same guy just a minute ago who wanted to give us, the funny face about us rather having at this point. Of course, you rather have Amari, but the fact that he goes down, I mean, forget 18-5, 21-9 without him. I think that we gonna be all right without him. Dub, jump in right there.
He's no different than Dwight Howard.
I mean, a lot of people want to jump on Amari Stoudemire in regards to defense. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it funky. If you really watch Amari Stoudemire, even when he was in Phoenix, you weren't thinking of him as being a defensive stopper. 2, in regards to Amari Stoudemire, again, I have the advantage that I do watch a lot of basketball. I watch a lot of Knicks games, and if you are an avid watcher, you see that his defense has improved from when he first started this particular season in regards to rotations, in regards to block shots, in regards to hustling, so on and so forth. So his improvement, I mean, damn, we can't, and this is the thing about sports in general. I mean, yes, we can be critical, but when you have a person out there effort trying to improve on the things that they are maybe lacking in, you have to give them you got to throw them a bone. I'm not saying that Pat is going out there shutting all post players down or anything like that, but you have to give him something in regards to I mean, he is out there working hard. Now, granted, he may score a basket and he may miss an assignment or what have you. But I mean,
but you basically what you sound like you're saying is you giving him an A for effort, which I understand that logic. I disagree with it. I think you need
an A. I won't give him an A, but I do see improvement.
Okay, fair enough. And I think Carmelo is underrated defensively. So, and I know I catch heat for that. Big Rule. What you got?
But my whole thing was with Amari Stoudemire this year, last year, whenever year, that the dude didn't play any defense. He plays defense because he wants some time. So now you really have to sit here and say, hey, dude, you get 10, 15 minutes a game unless you play some defense. And now he goes out here and plays some defense. This is the first time in his career since probably his rookie year that he plays some defense. I mean, I'm not saying the dude is an all defensive player or he needs to be. I just want the dude to check somebody.
All right, well, here's the thing. And
can I throw something out there real quick?
All right, make it quick because we need to move on.
5 seconds. Pau Gasol, defensive player?
I don't think anybody's accusing him or his
Well said.
Nor have I ever said he was one.
Being a defensive player. So that's the same way you would look at Amari Stoudemire. Now, granted, you're talking about different players, different sizes, or whatever like that. But listen, the league does not have a lot of defensive players. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, I want to move on from this, but I'll kind of end this segment or this part of the segment by saying this. There are some players in the league who come into the league as defensive stoppers, and then there's other guys who come into the league as offensive juggernauts. Nobody accused Bruce Bowen of being an offensive player. He's known as being a defensive player, and he did pretty good around the league. So I don't, there's some players that can do both, and there's some players that's good at one and not so great at others. So I think that it's okay about that. I don't think that you have to be both. It'd be nice, and those players who are elite are both. But if you can't play great defense, you still may have a place in this league. Just like if you play great offense, you may have a place in this league.
Dominique Wilkins.
Just like Dominique Wilkins. Nobody's accusing him of being a defensive stopper, but he's a Hall of Famer. Just like Carmelo Anthony potentially could be a Hall of Famer one day when it's all said and done for him. Well, obviously you did hear a word that I just said. But let's just move on, Dub. Let's move on to the Knicks' big win against the Utah Jazz on Saturday night, 29 points. My point for segueing this way is not about the Knicks. It's about the team they beat, the Utah Jazz, who had a pretty sizable lead against the Los Angeles Lakers. But it appears that the Lakers are in the process of retaking them, and I will have to kind of step off of what I said earlier in the season when I didn't think the Lakers had a chance. Now, not only does it appear the Lakers have a chance to get into the playoffs, but they may get past the 8th spot, maybe in the 7th or 6th, depending on how things go in the next 6 weeks of the season. What are you seeing in La La Land? Kobe had a great game the other night. What's going on with the Lakers?
You know what, man? And everybody listening, you're going to hear this and hear it first. Right here, Kdub, I am apologizing to Big Rube.
What?
I had no idea. I did not think that the LA Lakers would be in the position right now, being in the 8th position and only a game back of Houston, who's in the 7th position. Utah, they went on the road and they picked a fine time to go on a 4-game losing streak. And by the Lakers overtaking them, taking that 8th position, they're half a game up on Utah right now, which it looks as though basically they're going in opposite directions. And with the Lakers being a game behind Houston, they could flip-flop that within the week. This time next week, we could be talking about the Lakers being in that 7th position. I think over the weekend, just kind of taking a look at them, and I told somebody that I spoke with, I said, the Lakers may be that team that no one really wants to play.
No, I agree. I agree with you on that, and I don't want to hear from Big Rube just yet. I'm gonna go around to the crew, and I'm gonna start with Jay Grizzy Green. We just moved on from the Knicks to the Lakers. The Lakers are making a run. What's your thoughts, Chris?
Because it's foolishness. All right, in this big, 4-letter network sports arena that we get to watch. All right, so we see highlights of Kobe dropping big time game-winning threes on folks. Well, why he didn't do that in December? Why he waiting until now, until when the ish about to hit the fan, and they need to make the playoffs? So that goes to tell me that Kobe is not doing what he needs to do. Maybe because he's sour at Kupchak, he's sour that Dwight Howard's not giving his all. He's sour that they're talking about trading Paul Gasol. I don't know whatever reason for it, but don't give me a couple of games. And I understand, I respect your apology. I would never give Ruben an apology on this show or any other format, K-Dub, but I still don't buy into the Lakers. I'm selling all day long.
I say it like this: the Lakers would not be in the playoffs. That's my vote. You heard it here first, because of some fact the Lakers suck. I mean, Kobe just had to play one time. One time don't make a whole series. One time don't get you into the 8th playoff spot. One time he and Dwight will be fighting before the end of the season. One time I need to see Ruben stop doing this little dance in front of me, because this stuff is really irritating my love life.
And one time Dwight Howard might have his way with Vanessa.
Big Rube, you got a lot of people got a lot of people in the room.
You know.
But hold up, before you go there, let me just say my piece.
You want to go ahead and add to this too?
No, I'm actually not, because I disagree with them. I think that the Lakers will be a problem for whoever it is they play, because they're playing well. Whenever you have one of the top 10 players of all time on your team, you're going to be a problem for people, and he's still playing on the tail end of his prime. So the Lakers are going to be a problem. Like Dub, I do need to offer my apologies for not believing in the Lakers earlier on. They've got one of those teams that, if you look similar to the Knicks, they got an aged team, but they're healthy, and they're playing good basketball right now. And I really don't see how they don't make the playoffs, one. And two, they're going to be a pain in the ass for somebody, Big Rule. So your team is looking pretty good. Why don't you jump in right there and give us your analysis of what's going on in the Staples Center with the purple and gold?
As I swim around the pool of hate from here to Atlanta,
You hear him talking about you.
It's one of those things where I say this. I told y'all that the Lakers would be in the playoffs. We're the number 8 spot right now, and we're 2 games from number 6. I'm not saying we're going to win a specific division title, because that's not going to happen, and that would be foolish. However, I will say this. We're going to do what we need to do. We ain't going to be in the playoffs. Whether we play San Antonio, Oklahoma City, or the Clippers, neither one of them wants to play us. Because right now, the Lakers are playing the best basketball of the season. Furthermore,
they play good ball. Give him his room. Give him his room.
If people ain't been checking out Kobe, who's been dropping 40 on people in their face,
wife, but yeah,
dropping 40 in their face, nobody even remembers that the wife's been doing double doubles, no issues. That Hackett Dwight game kind of ended. I guess they realized they need to worry more about Kobe. I don't know. Dwight. My thing with Dwight was, hey, put him on the free throw line. You know what's going to happen? A whole bunch of people will foul out. That's my whole thought process on it.
All right, well, you just ran off 3 teams that the Lakers don't want to see the Lakers in the playoffs. Now, I will give you a little bit on the Clippers. The Clippers might not want to see, because it's the Clippers. They still have, even though the team has transformed itself over the last couple of years with the additions of CP3, what's the ginger looking dude?
The ginger looking
dude. Are you talking about Mr. I can't do a jump shot, but I can jump?
Yeah, that Blake Griffin and DeAndre the Dunk Jordan. Other than that, the Lakers will get swept by San Antonio, and the Lakers will get swept by OKC for the simple fact they don't have the athletes to stay up and running up and down. Even that Kwame dude that still rocked the braids for San Antonio, he was still San Antonio would mop the floor as of today, because we're speaking as of today. If the season was to end today, we're only in what, beginning mid-April?
Jay Grizzy brings me to a good transition with regards to the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to have Big Rube in a moment kind of comment on his Lakers, but once we transition to the Spurs, he does make a good point with regards to the Spurs and the matchup that they have against the Lakers. You had some Spurs talk you wanted to get in. What's up?
Well, the Spurs, just like tomorrow's Tuesday, the Spurs just keep rolling along. They lost their last game. In fact, I want to say they got taken to the shed against Portland again. With the San Antonio Spurs right now, Tony Parker being out for a couple of weeks or whatever, but the Spurs just continue to roll along, 48-15. They're number 1 in the Western Conference. They're number 2 in the entire NBA. And to kind of make that segue as well, if the playoffs were to start today, the Lakers would be matched up against San Antonio in that 1 versus 8 scenario. San Antonio, they a game ahead of Oklahoma City. They just continue to keep reeling off wins or what have you. Again, I think, and this points back to even last year with San Antonio, is that, what will they look like when the playoffs start?
Big Rube, let me stop you there, because Big Rube is itching to jump in there. Big Rube, I know we ran away from your Lakers. Take us back, feel free.
Real talk, what are the chances of no Tony Parker in San Antonio of beating the LA Lakers right now?
You're asking me that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that San Antonio probably it would be a tight series, and I would think that San Antonio would pull it out, because the thing about San Antonio, if we look at both teams, I would say that LA would be more prone to give you a dud in the playoffs, at least one game. And we all know that sometimes, all it takes is one game for a team to kind of get the ball rolling. And I think that LA would throw up that dud before San Antonio would.
Even though they got destroyed by Portland?
That's the
Even
thing,
though they got
though.
destroyed by Portland. Yes. Even though they got destroyed by Portland, yes.
Because my thing is, without Tony Parker, the Spurs are an ordinary team.
But Parker will be back for the playoffs.
Well, not necessarily. They're 7-3 over the last 10 games.
Right. And we're 2 months out of the playoffs. So let's say
a month.
All right, end of April.
We're a month Friday away from the playoffs.
It's safe to say that all kinds of playoff positioning can change in the next 4 weeks. But as of right now, looking at the whole body of work of the Lakers, I'm still selling them.
And I would say one more thing.
Not as a hater. I'm just.
Oh, I know. That's fine. Lakers will make the playoffs one. And, we need to go back to the Knicks very quickly, because looking at the standards, the Knicks are only half a game ahead of Indiana. They're only 2 games ahead of Brooklyn. So they can go from 2 to 6 very easily.
That's fair.
So, I'm just saying, if we look at one side, we need to look at both.
They wouldn't drop down to 6, Rube. They wouldn't drop down to 6. If anything was to happen, it would be Brooklyn would go over that either this 3rd or 4th. If anything, the Knicks would fall to the 4th position.
No less than the 4th.
Fall down to the 6th.
They're not gonna fall to 6. We're gonna leave it there. 2 real quick things, and I say real quick, that I want to get into with the National Basketball Association. One is NBA and one is former NBA. This dude, DeAndre Jordan, literally murdered Brandon Knight last night. Dub, have you ever seen a posterization more aggressive than what you saw last night?
You know what, man? It definitely goes in my annals as one of the top 10. Earlier today, the Perimeter Network did put out their dunks of all time, and it had DeAndre Jordan, I want to say maybe 6 or 5 or something like that. It's hard to describe. It was horrible, man. It was hard. It looked like, if anybody's ever didn't see it, I would suggest that you YouTube it. It looks as though that he just jumped up and, it just looks as though that he jumped up and just threw him down to the ground. It was nasty. It was terrible. It was disgusting.
Hey, Grizz, did you see the dunk, man?
I saw the dunk.
What's your thoughts, man?
First of all, it was nasty. It made me turn up my Grizz face and be like, oh, that was just nasty. But the kid that's been dunked on was the same kid that got crossed up by Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, he was.
In the All-Star game. So he's having the worst season as far as getting posterized.
He's having a moment.
Yeah, he's having more than a moment getting posterized. But it was just if you want to break down a dunk in like 30 seconds, it was like the perfect timing, the perfect leap, the perfect vertical, and the perfect cuff of because DeAndre Jordan's left-handed and he dunked it right-handed on him.
Big rope.
That's all.
That dunk was very sick. And you know what that dunk reminded me of?
What?
The best dunk of all time.
What's that?
The Lister Blister.
Who's that?
With Sean Kemp.
Oh, he put on.
Why are you looking at me like I'm crazy?
You talking about Alton Lister?
Yes, sir. And then he pointed at him?
Yeah, that was nasty.
Real quick, I'll go and kind of say my piece on what I thought was probably one of the biggest posterizations when Michael Jordan got Patrick Ewing in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the reverse dribble draw on the baseline.
Where he got him on the baseline because he spun away from Charles Oakley, and then he dunked on Patrick Ewing, and then talked trash to him right there. Carlton Banks. Yeah, he did. Carlton Banks. You saw the dunk. What's your thoughts, man?
I wanted to hide my child. It was just that terrifying.
It was bad.
You can't see this.
Yeah, it was bad. I don't want little kids to see this dunk because then
they need to see it to know what not to do.
Exactly. I'm gonna leave it there with regards to that. Real quick, Kdub, I want to talk to you about a guy that you and I both know pretty well. Ronaldo Bachman used to be a New York Knick, used to be a Denver Nugget, is playing overseas, and he ends up getting into an altercation on the floor with a teammate. What's your thoughts on that, man? You saw it. Why don't you share with the listeners what Kdub thinks about that?
I think, like I spoke to you before, I think that he just lost his damn mind because, one, that would not have happened in the NBA, and two, I think he lost his mind. I think that because of the fact that he's an American playing overseas on a particular team, and there's pretty much a sense of, I'm over here to help you guys out. That he let it go to his head and he just kind of flipped out. Again, you and I discussed this earlier. It will be interesting to see if he would have done something like that to someone, let's say, like a Kenyon Martin, or let's say if it was a LeBron James or someone of stature, would he have done the same thing?
I got you, Grizz.
I got you. What he fails to realize is that the Filipinos, a.k.a. Manny Pacquiao, don't play that.
Nah, I got you, man. I looked at it, and again, Doug, we did talk about this earlier, and my thought is the same as yours. It wouldn't have flown here, and I think, to be honest with you, it was kind of a punk move because if you looked at the guy that he tried to choke out, Carlton Banks, it was a little guy. It was like a point guard or whatever.
Right.
And I made the analogy when I was talking to Kdub earlier, not necessarily LeBron James. I'm not talking about LeBron James, but I'm talking about a 6'9", 280 guy versus a 6'1", 180 guy. Ronaldo Bachman is about 6'8", 230. I don't think that he would have done that to a big dude. The fact that he did that to a little dude, to me, in another country where he's the man, because he kind of is the man over there, even though he wasn't even the boy here in the United States. I think it was a punk move, Carl.
Yeah. It was definitely a punk move. And see, the thing about it, that's your teammate. So how do you get mad at your teammate? And the same fact, you got to roll with him all the time and everything. It's just...
How bad do you have to be playing in the Filipino basketball
Well, I mean,
league?
the thing is, though, United States, we know that the NBA is the pinnacle of the basketball world. Doesn't mean that you're not a great player if you're playing in other places. It just means that you're not good enough to play here. So, and as a Knicks fan, I watched him here in 2 tours with the Knicks. And I saw flashes, but where he lost me, his hustle was impeccable.
Yeah, he hustled.
You never would be able to complain about his hustle, Kdub. I'm going to let you get the last word on this. Let me just finish this point. You'll never complain about Ronaldo Bachman's hustle. What you complained about was his focus. There was times where you see him hollering at chicks during breaks and stuff, and stuff like that. And he had 0 big groups getting a kick out of that. But that's the truth. And he had 0 jump shot. Kdub, final word on Ronaldo Bachman in the NBA segment.
Ronaldo Bachman, the world, the eyes of the world, the basketball world are on you, and he'll get a job somewhere. I mean, granted, he's going to continue to play in the Philippines, and he'll probably have a job somewhere else if he desires to play in other countries or whatever. He might even get a look in the league. I just think that was a dummy move, man. He blew that, man. I mean, he's a dummy for that. Why would you? I mean, he just. On the team is part of it, man. I wouldn't do that to my teammate. Yeah, I might yell at him, but I would never go and try to choke him.
It is what it is, man. Crazy person. He wilded out, but nothing you can really do about that. So I'm just kind of tripping that it even happened, and I'm just glad that when it did happen, it wasn't on the New York Knicks, because I think that he might have got punched in the face right there on the floor. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J on Legacy Internet Radio. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the top the top hip hop lyricists. There was a list that came out recently on MTV where they ranked the top 10 lyricists today. And it kind of tripped me out because I don't really kick it with most of these cats on this list, but we're going to get into it. Marcus J, ain't no half stepping, hanging in there. We'll be back in a minute.